Hey guys, what's up? This is Luke with ThinkBoxly coming at you today with another unboxing video, this time of the EVGA GeForce GTX 960 aftermarket GPU. Let's dive right in. So as you can see right off the bat here, this is, as I said, an aftermarket GPU. Standard GTX 960 is only 2GB of GDDR5 VRAM. This one actually has 4GB, and you can also see the little superclocked note here indicating that this is indeed a pre-overclocked GPU. Along the bottom on the front of the box here, we can also see a few features that come just with any recent NVIDIA card. You can see off to the left here we have dynamic super resolution. This is going to allow you to actually downsample 2K and 4K etc. Resolution on a 1080p screen, so you'll be able to sort of get an anti-aliasing effect from actual pixels being rendered by the GPU, which is pretty cool. And we also have other features like Game Stream, GameWorks, G-Sync, and most importantly DirectX 12. This card does have full feature level 12.2 support for DirectX 12, which is unique to the Maxwell series of cards so far. Although some DirectX 12 support is coming to the Kepler and even Fermi cards, you're going to have to get a Maxwell card, which is any of the 900 series cards, in order to get full proper DX12 support, which is huge with Windows 10 just around the corner. We're actually going to be running this card on Windows 10, putting it through some benchmarks to see how it stacks up, both in DX11 and in DX12 moving forward. And we can also see that we do have ACX 2.0 built into this card as well. This is going to make sure that the card stays cool. It's EVGA's own fan system that keeps things running well and as quiet as possible. So lots of features there, and we'll get another quick look around the rest of the box here, covering all the different sides. Pretty much what you'd expect, just all of the standard information about the GPU. So while I get this thing out of the box, we'll go over some of the specs. This is a PCI Express 3.0 card. It's clocked at 1216 megahertz with a boost clock of 1279 megahertz, and with EVGA's own software you'll be able to fine-tune that performance even more how you like. This does have 1024 CUDA cores, which is a little bit of a step down from what we've seen in the past as far as parity between the 960 and the 970. In the past we've seen a little bit closer on the CUDA cores for the X60 and the X70 range cards, but this one is opting for just 1024. However, we do have a full 7 gigahertz effective 9 gigahertz clock here, which is thanks to the 128-bit memory interface, which seems kind of small, being augmented by NVIDIA's dynamic compression technology, which is going to allow you to pipe more data through that 128-bit memory interface than you normally would be able to in previous generation cards. So everything in the box just kind of comes out all at once here, and we have the obligatory paperwork and advertisements and quick start guides and all that. Nothing that anybody ever probably really reads. We can just mostly toss all that off to the side. It's a GPU. If you don't know how one of them works, at least as far as installing it into your PC yourself, you've probably got no business actually buying one of these things, so you can safely toss all that off to the side and see what else is in the box. Now actually, one thing I will say about the included materials is that you might not want to toss the included disk so fast. Now I know you're not going to want to install the drivers for the GPU that are on this disk, because guaranteed they're going to be way out of date. Whether you're team green, whether you're team red, definitely going to want to get the latest drivers for your GPU off of the website, either NVIDIA or AMD. But there is some additional software on this disk here that you may want to hang on to, which will allow you to fine-tune and tweak the performance of the card. So you'll definitely want to hang on to the disk for that. The rest of it though, you can just go ahead and toss off to the side. Now, before we get to the real star of the show, which is obviously the card itself, we do have a couple of packages here which are going to have a couple of adapters. First of all, we have our DVI to VGA adapter here. This is going to allow you to connect a VGA device to this card because it does not actually have a native VGA input. And we also have in another little package here a power cable. This will adapt the 6-pin power input on the GPU itself to a pair of Molex inputs. This will enable some of the lower end PSUs to be able to use this card because it actually is not very power hungry, which is something we're going to get into in a little bit. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's look at the card itself. As we can see, the top looks very sleek and nice. We have the EVGA and the GeForce GTX 960 branding here. It's a single 11 blade fan, but because the card itself is so small, you're not going to need more than one fan. We can also see, if we look on the sides here, we can actually get a glimpse at some of the heat sinks inside. This is actually a pretty efficient looking cooling system. Generally a fan of EVGA cards personally, and I definitely have high expectations and hopes for this one. So on the back, we also have our inputs, which is something that's going to matter to pretty much everybody. We have on the left here, we have a display port next to an HDMI, and we also have a couple of DVI inputs. We have a DVI-I and a DVI-D. What's the difference? Well, one of them is going to be able to accept an analog input source, which you're going to have to use your DVI to VGA adapter for, and the other one is purely digital. So the DVI-D is a digital only input source. However, the other one does actually have a pass-through for analog, so you can input an analog source in as well. So if you're not familiar with the difference between DVI-I and DVI-D, there it is. One accepts analog, the other does not. Simple as that. Looking around the rest of the card, the bottom does not have a back plate, which is not too surprising on a card at this range, nor is it really a big deal, but lately we have seen a little bit of an increase in manufacturers shipping their cards with back plates. Not one here, but it's okay with me. Now, of course, on the bottom side, we do have just our PCI input. Again, that's PCI Express 3.0. And on the other side, we actually do have one important item of note, and that is the single 6-pin power input. This compares to what we were seeing last generation. Cards about the same power as this one. We're coming packing two 8-pin inputs. This guy can run on just a single 6-pin. It's very power efficient. The GTX 960 has a max TDP of just 120 watts, which is easily a third of what we were seeing last generation with some of the Kepler GPUs that were about the same actual performance as this card. So major props to NVIDIA for being able to reduce the power consumption of their cards so far. This means you could actually probably pretty easily SLI these guys on a 500 to 600 watt PSU. If you get a standard GTX 960, it's right at the $200 mark, so very affordable for this card, and you're going to get solid 1080p performance. Probably for the most part, you're going to get about the level of what you would have seen with a GTX 770 last generation, but again, with like a third of the power usage as we saw with most of the Kepler GPUs. Depending on your usage, the 960 is definitely not only a very budget-friendly option, but definitely going to get you a lot of power, a lot of bang for your buck. That's about it for this unboxing. Be sure to check out the full post on tech.thinkboxly.com if you'd like to see comparisons and further details about this card. Thanks for watching, and as always, be sure to like and subscribe if you did indeed like this video. Once again, this has been Luke with ThinkBoxly. I'll see you next time.